As a Sith Lord, when I'm not conquering rebels and destroying Jedi, I like to read comics like the rest of you, and one character stands above all to me, and that is Magneto from the X-Men universe. But how would things go if he and I were to fight? Let's think about that now and do a thought experiment. One of the things I admire about Magneto is our similarities. We both grew up in broken families, in oppression. Being an underclass, we both got consumed by hatred, turned to the dark side, and became conquerors who crush anyone that's a threat to us. And our main motivation is that we don't want to ever feel vulnerable ever again for the rest of our lives. So he and I have so much in common. On top of that, we both sport thick cloaks as well as battle-hardened helmets. So with that out of the way, who would win if we actually were to fight? Now, both Magneto and I have very similar fighting styles. We both like to use telekinesis to hurl all of the metal objects in the room at our enemies. Magneto does this to the Sentinels on a daily basis, and I used it against Luke in Empire Strikes Back, as well as in many of my other fights. So we both have a very similar mentality. Go into the fight and immediately crush your opponent with overwhelming force. Now let's see how our abilities stack up against each other. So he has a helmet which blocks psychic attacks from taking place against him. That would hinder me from using intimidation on him, like that time on the second Death Star, where I used my psychic powers to pry into Luke's mind and find out that he had a twin sister named Leia. That would not work on Magneto because his helmet is specifically designed to prevent that. Defensively speaking, he has a force field that is able to block strikes from Thor's Mjolnir hammer. If he can block Asgardian magic, then there's very little possibility of my lightsaber getting through that either. He would basically block my lightsaber, and it would basically be no better than a glorified blowtorch, so I would not be able to slice him away. He also has a very fast reaction time. He's able to react to Cyclops' lasers as well as to Storm's lightning and use his force field to block it. However, I can also react and block lasers coming at me as well, so reaction time is a wash. We both have very quick reflexes. He also has magnetic powers that are so strong that he could even pull comets and meteors out from outer space down into Earth. However, I could probably block those from crushing me with my telekinesis, so that's a wash as well. And now, let's address the elephant in the room. The fact that I am a cyborg means that half my skeleton and respiratory system is made of metal, which he can easily manipulate. He would probably try to remove all of the metal out of my skeleton like he did to Wolverine, which would leave me a crippled quadriplegic. However, there's just one problem with that. I may be partially made out of metal, which he could manipulate. However, he is entirely made out of organs, which I could manipulate. As soon as I spot him, I would assume him to be some kind of powerful wizard and would just crush all of his organs with a force choke. It'll be mighty hard for him to use his magnetic powers while his brain is being starved of oxygen as I crush all of the arteries in his body with the force. And that is why I would ultimately come out on top. Now don't get me wrong, Magneto would make one hell of a Sith Lord if he were in my universe, but I am still reigning supreme.